Hi, it's Kim from Blank Page Muse. We're a small stamp company in Riverside, California. And today I have a really fun Slimline card to make with you. It uses our brand new clear stamps. It's Butterfly Breezes. It has 3 butterflies in 3 sizes, a wonderful sunflower, and an awesome sentiment. And as well, you've got this really fun stencil. It has a bunch of layering elements in it with butterflies and flowers. And this is the final project. We're going to make it together. Let's go. Okay, welcome back after a quick introduction. Here we go. I think I have all the supplies laid out I need to use right now. I'm going to use a stamping platform just to aid in the stamping so that if it doesn't take the ink right away, there's a good chance, to redo it. I'm going to use some Distress Oxides and Worn Lipstick, Salty Ocean, Squeezed Lemonade, and my VersaFine Onyx Black ink for stamping. I'm going to use the oxides for the stenciling in the background, and it's a pink, yellow, and blue. You can use whatever colors you like. So we'll get to that in a few minutes. I'm going to set those aside so I don't hopefully knock them off the table or something weird. And of course, here's the stamps we're using today that should have been in your kit. Our full new clear set of butterflies and a sunflower. You've got your panel, your watercolor paper panel that you're going to stamp onto, your stencil, and your card base itself, which is folded. I'm setting it aside so I don't get too much ink on it before I'm ready. And I'm going to set the stencil off to the side here too, and have the panel. Now, on your watercolor paper, it has a bumpier side and a smoother side. You're going to want to make sure you stamp on the smoother side, okay? It takes the image a little better. And I'm going to go ahead and place this here. And I'm just going to take the stamps and I'm going to lay them out how I want them to be on the background. I'm stamping right onto it. So I'm going to start with the sunflower, peel it off. And sometimes on clear stamps, there's a little bit of the manufacturing residues on them. So you just want to either test stamp to ink them up a little bit or just wipe them down. Or you can even wash them with soap and water if you like. These, I only had to stamp a couple of times. Here is the actual... This is what I use, just a stamp pad, and I'm just testing them to stamp them and get them kind of seasoned, and then I set this aside. And here we go. The sunflower, I want it at the bottom of the card, kind of at an angle, just tucked on the corner like so. Put it down there, and you know what? Let's see. Might be a good idea to put the line side down. I had it wrong. Here we go. Because we want it to stick to the platform. There we go. And then you're going to take the butterfly with the open wings, and it's going to be coming down like so, like it's going to land on the flower. Then the next size butterfly, we're going to put it up a little further here, just to kind of create that little zigzag motion, about like so. And little tiny guy is going to be up here towards the top. And you have your sentiment. And we're going to put the sentiment in this area right here. In that open space. And kind of look at your layout. Kind of line it up. Make sure you have everything you want. If your stamping platform has a grid, you can check to make sure the sentiment looks straight. I'm going to pop this up for just a second. That's pretty straight. There we go. Then gently press them onto the background. Set that off to the side there. And looks good. They're all attached. Now I'm going to start inking. Again, I like the VersaFine Black. It works really good with the watercolor markers. Doesn't smear. And the colors are really nice and bright. Really like them a lot. And as you're inking, just look at the black and make sure it looks like it's got good coverage. Not a lot of little bubbles or anything like that. The platform gives you a little flexibility if you gotta touch it up again. I'll set that aside, trying to get my fingers in it. Slide it back over. Check it. Butterflies look good. Sentiment's nice and dark. Sunflower, I want to darken it up a little bit, so I'm just going to apply a little more ink. I'll do a little bit on the butterfly, the bottom butterfly too. Other than that, everything else looks good. There we go. Now the sunflower's nice and dark. I like that a lot better. Okay. Gonna go ahead and just wipe off the ink off the stamps just to minimize the amount of ink on my fingers. I'm gonna put the stamps back onto the backing card right now. I really like the Versamark too. It just really wipes off of the stamps very nicely, even the black ink. Okay. At this point, I'm done with the sunflower, the little butterfly, and the sentiment. So I'm going to set those aside. I'm going to move my panel off, put this aside, and then with this another piece of paper, you can use cardstock or watercolor, anything you like. We're going to stamp some extra butterflies. So I'm going to put this here and here, and I'm going to place them. I'm going to use the open wing butterfly and the medium size open butterfly. And I'm going to stamp each one a couple times because I want a couple of tries at coloring here. Kind of a coloring warm-up, if you will. Stamp them a couple times. Still has a little ink residue from before, that's fine. That's nice and dark. And now rather than moving the stamps, I'm just going to turn the paper over this way. I'm going to put the magnets back on. Like I said, this is going to be a stamping warm-up, so I'm going to stamp each one twice. It's a coloring warm-up. There we go. Get that one just a little bit more. See, as you get enough ink on there, it gets nice and full and it transfers really nice. Good. There we go. Good. Again, wiping off the ink on my stamps. And then I'm going to put them back on the background card. Then we're pretty much done. You can stamp more if you like, but this is all we basically need for now. And that's that for the stamps. Put this aside. I want this card here. Okay. So what we're doing, we have the card base, and then we have these other stamps. And what we're going to be doing is coloring these in. These are going to be on top because we're going to be cutting the wings off and applying it right on top of this base. So it pops up a little bit so you get that dimension. And it's always fun to warm up on your coloring anyway, because sometimes you see the color doesn't work so well, so you want to change it. So now's the time to play. And I'm using my Color It watercolor brush pens. These are a simple set I found on Amazon. I think I've used them in the majority of the videos, and I use them all the time, and I think they're really, really fun. The butterflies I'm going to be doing in blues and greens and a little bit of pink. It's a little more whimsical, it's a little fun. I'm going to save the oranges and the browns for the sunflower. There we go. And of course, a water pen for the ink. Okay, I'm going to start with the light blue. I need a scratch piece of paper. So if you have another scrap of paper to test them, your colors, that's good. And I'm just going to start in the middle here applying a little light blue on the the bottom part of the wing closest to the body, and go over here. I'm going to do them both similar. So putting down the light blue first. You don't have to worry about staying in the lines here because we're going to be cutting these out. Get the colors there. I like that light blue. And I'm going to put a little bit of water down. And I'm also doing these first since they're wet and we're going to be cutting them. You want to do this step first so you can set it aside so it's drying while we're working on the rest of the card base. Now I'm going to take this one, it's almost a teal, blue-green, and just dab it in here and get that wonderful watercolor flow going. I love how it blossoms like that. It just blooms. It's really fun. And we're going to put just a touch of darker blue on top of that at the very bottom. Like there. There we go. And then I'm going to use some green on the rest of the wing, on the middle part of the wing actually here. It's a light green. And on this one I'm doing green all the way around. And I'm just pouncing it, just dabbing it on there. You don't have to be perfect because you've got the black that's hiding everything anyway. It's giving it the shape. A little bit of water. The water pen. Just move it around a little bit to blend it a teeny bit. That's good. And this is a little wet, so I'm going to take a clean paper towel and just dab off some of that water. It lifts some of the color, but that's totally fine. And now I'm going to use the darker pink on this one, just on this little section out here. Little bits of color. The edge of the wings on the big butterfly. Just putting it down really. That's cool. And a little bit of water next. Just again a slight dabbing motion. Just get a little bit wet. And then a touch of another pink. This is more of a raspberry. And this one is a fuchsia color. So kind of, again, a dark pink and a light pink was working fine. And just a little bit of water on it. Don't really need to. It looks good that way. I like how bright it is. I love how this blue came together there. And let's try another combination real quick here. Got to use the blue in the darker part here. On both of them. Those first sections closest to the body of the butterfly. Okay, I'm going to get it a little wet. And while it's wet, I'm going to just pull that same blue all the way out. From the body all the way out to that high section of the wing. Now let's try that teal. Let's see how the teal comes in. I'm going to pull that all the way out in this one. And just a touch of the green on the outer edges here. Let's try that. Now we use the same green over here. Just a little bit of water. It's a little bright, so I just want to pull a little bit of that color back off. Didn't have quite enough color, so I'm just coming in and it's wet there and I'm just dabbing it. I'm not even following the shapes, I'm just dabbing it right on top. There we go. And that's good. There we go. I like the dark ones. I really like how this one blossoms, so I'm going to stick with this color combination here. Okay, these are colored, and I'm going to set them aside right now so it dries, and then we're going to color in the other background. There we go. I missed that spot. So set this aside so it dries. Now I'm going to come back to the main panel and color in the flower and the other butterflies. These butterflies, I'm just going to apply a little bit of color. It doesn't have to be perfect because the wings are going to be covered up when we put the other ones on top. So let's start with the sunflower. I'm going to start from the bottom and work up. So here's the colors I want to use on the sunflower. I have a pale yellow, I have an orange, a medium orange, and a darker orange. And for the middle, I have a brown and another color, what do they call this one? This one's labeled Sweet Ginger. It's kind of a brown orange, I guess you'd say. I'm just using it to highlight the middle part of the flower. So I'm going to put a little bit of the lighter color through here and a little bit here, kind of to highlight it. Just through the middle, just a little section like that. Then I'm going to come in with the brown and just follow it around. I'm not coloring each dot, I'm just going straight over the stamping with it, just getting the color down. A little bit more of this. Let's put a little water on it now. Help smooth it out. There we go. And we're going to come back to the darker one and just darken center right here, just a little bit more. I'm going to leave it a little lighter as you get to the outside. I think that looks pretty good like that. I'm going to set these colors aside. I'm done with those for now. And I'm going to start with the lightest yellow on the petals. I'm going to just put it down all the way from the center out to the tip of the petals. All the way around. I'm going to turn this a little bit here. Sorry if it makes you dizzy there. Try not to turn it too fast. Okay, once I have all the yellow in, then I'm going to come back to the petals with the medium orange and just add a little color in. Maybe a little stronger color on these out here on the top side. A little bit there, just going all the way around each petal. Okay. And now I'm going to take my water brush, make sure I don't have any blue on it right now, and just a little bit of water just to blend those two in a little so you don't have quite so much of the stroke color separation. There we go. So I still like to use watercolor paper. It doesn't buckle when it gets wet, and it's easy to stamp on with rubber or clear stamps. Let's get these colors together a little bit. Okay, and now while the center is really wet, I'm going to go in with the darkest orange and just dab it a little bit to get that bloom. It starts to fade and bleed into the rest of it there. A little bit in there because there's a petal hiding there. There we go. Looks pretty good. I like that. And then I come back with the original lightest yellow and just do a quick little pull, a little blend there, just to bring out that dark just a little bit. I'm going both directions, from the center out and then even from the outside in, just to try to break up that line just a little bit. There, I like how that looks. It's nice and bright. And you could even come back with a darker pink if you wanted to, backing up to the center of the flower. You could add just a little bit of that pink in, just for a little more interest on the seeds, just to give a little contrast. There we go. That's the same pink I used on the butterfly wings. All right, now back up to the butterflies. Since I'm going to use this set, I'm just going to use the blue and then a little bit of the pink here, because when the wings are lifted, you're going to see a little bit underneath it. So you just want some color. You don't want to leave it just white. Okay, so I have the light blue and back to the teal and the green and the pinks. I'm going to put the light blue down all the way over here in the middle, and also the light blue on this one here. It doesn't have to match exactly with what you created on the first one. You just want a hint of the color underneath. And a little bit of water, so it helps spread it. And I still had a little bit of yellow on there. There we go. Now drop in some of the teal. I got a little outside there, but that's okay. The stencil will help cover that up. And a touch of dark blue. And the center part here, I'm going to go definitely darker. There we go. This one, a little bit of the green all the way out to the tips. There we go. And just a little bit on this one here. And now into the pink for those edges. Okay. Dab this other pink in the very middle. That looks good. And now to do the little butterfly. The little butterfly, I'm going to make it really pale. I'm going to use just the pale blue and the green, just the two colors, so it's a little further away. I know the black is dark, but still I want it a little lighter in color because it's so small too. Coloring butterflies is a lot of fun. You can just go crazy and do whatever you want. And when we were designing this one, we really wanted to give you several sizes so you could play with them on any project and they'll fit in to a whole butterfly, you know, cascade and avalanche, just butterflies everywhere. They're so much fun. There we go. And maybe I'll put a little drop of teal right here. Cool. There we go. That looks pretty good. Now, at this point, honestly, the card looks really awesome. Could just do the stenciling and be done, but I'm still going to show you the step with the wings too. Okay. And make sure that's dry. I think that's it with the pens. I'm going to set them aside. And we're ready to do the stenciling. I've got a scrap piece of paper here that I'm going to put under it. And the stencil is right here. And again, I have my pink and yellow. That's the worn lipstick and the squeezed lemonade and a salty ocean blue. And for my brushes, you can use brushes, sponges, whatever you want. These brushes are simply makeup brushes that I found at the dollar store. And that's what I'm using today. I like them. They seem to work fine. And it's just a little tip to save $1 so you can buy more stamps. I'm going to start with the pink. And all you're doing with the stencil, these little flower bursts, we're going to come in and in the open spaces, we're going to start adding in little shapes in the pink. And we're going to brush from the outside of the stencil inwards like this, all the way around. And you don't need to re-ink between each one. You're just going to kind of play with the different shades so you have some light and some dark. Okay. I'm going to, again, I like working from the bottom up towards the top. I'm going to use the biggest flower shape right in here. I'm going to tuck it in between, about like so. I'm not taping it down. I'm just holding the base and the stencil with my other fingers on the one hand and inking up here. I have the scratch paper so I can see. That looks pretty good. So, outwards to the middle. And I'm leaving the very center clear because we're going to come back in with the other shape and apply yellow there. Just brush it in. Okay, I still have a lot of ink on there. I'm going to turn this around and tuck in another big flower right here. Just using the ink from the stencil and what's left on the brush. Just pushing it inwards. And let's do a little one here. Nice and pale. And another corner right here to give it a little anchor. And moving all the way up, just slowly filling it all in. Kind of turn the stencil so it tucks in around the butterflies however you like. I want this one a little darker, so I'm going to do a little more pink. Putting the stencil in, I'm going to hold it down with my fingers and just brush from the edge towards the center. I'm leaving the center as empty as possible so I can put the yellow in and it'll show up, be a nice little color burst. There we go. Let's do a little more stenciling. I want to fill this whole background up with flowers because it's just, I love flowers and the butterflies, and this stencil is just a lot of fun. Another kind of layering stencil. I'm gonna come in on the side here, add some more in. This one's a little dark, well, that's kind of fun, I like it. Just swirl it around. That's nice and bright, that came out cool. I've got this area here, let's add something in. Let's use the tiny one for there. Just add that in. And again, if you want to tape it down and keep moving it, that's fine. I'm just using my fingers to hold it down because I'm impatient. And let's add this one here. I actually accidentally stenciled. I got outside the stencil edge, so I've got a line there, which is fine. I'm just going to put another flower right there. And be a little more careful, not so aggressive with the ink on the edges. And I'll lift it up and see how that looks. That's fine, that covers it up. Just see a little bit, it's just an overlap petal. And I'm gonna spin this around a little bit and add one up here at the top, coming off the edge. I like them coming off the edge, gives a little more, it holds it in, doesn't have everything just floating on the page, gives you an anchor point. There we go, that one. And let's see if I can tuck in a piece of one right in here. Oh yeah, that'll fit. Kind of a pale one tucked in. Awesome. And let's put something here at the bottom that's kind of empty and sad. There we go, and a little bit over here. Cool, that's good. Now, that looks like enough pink right now. Actually, put a butterfly there, okay. I set the pink aside and I'm gonna move on to yellow. You can scrub off the brush if you want. I've got a second one here that I'm gonna use for the yellow. That looks good. And I'm gonna come in with one of the smallest flower on here, which is the one here closest to the butterflies. And I'm gonna place it just overlapping. All I want is a portion of it. And I'm gonna put the yellow right on top of the pink in the middle. Then all of a sudden you've got the little starburst going on. And I'm gonna do that to all of the flowers all the way around, varying the sizes and overlapping, however you want to do it. Just getting that little bit of the tropical, summery feeling going on here. There we go. And this one's a real, let's see, that's a tiny flower, so let's put just a little hint right there. Add that in. Kind of makes a nice orange too in the overlap. Okay, and this one, I'm going to go ahead and do the bigger area. And you've got this nice and pale in the middle. I rotate the stencil, and I'm going to get that yellow all the way in the middle here. Swirling it around, instead of the pulling, just swirling it in. And just all of a sudden you start to see it coming together. Those flowers with the butterflies. We've got so many bright, colorful summer fun going on. And for that little pale one I tucked in, just a little hint right in there. And let's see what I missed. Oh yeah, the top. Here we go. That's that. And the last big flower here. I'm going to put the yellow right in. There you go. Awesome. That looks good. I like that. And very cool. Now, one last step on the stenciling. I'm going to come in with the blue. Let's see. Most of the ink is off of that one. And I'm going to use one of the tiny, tiny butterflies on the stencil. And I'm going to come in and in a blue, just tuck a couple little shadowy butterflies in. I'm going to brush off some of the ink and just dab a little bit on there so you get a little hint of some butterflies. A little pale blue fun there. Got a nice space in here. So this one's going to be heading up to the gentle breezes. There we go. And how about one more right about here? Fun. Okay, that is the card base. You're all set there. And again, the card is done. You can leave it just as that, but I'm going to show you that last step now. I'm going to cut out the butterfly wings and attach them. Okay, just set this aside real quick here. And I'll just trim this over here. Okay, and I decided to use this set of butterflies here. So I'm going to fussy cut them out. Now, I just realized I forgot to color the body of this butterfly. That's funny. Here we go. Let's go back. I'm going to grab the brown and dark pink and just color in the body. Sorry about that. I just saw that. There we go. That's an easy fix. All right. And now, when we're fussy cutting these out, I'm only interested in the wings, so you're not going to have to cut around the antenna or anything, or the heads. Sorry, you're going to, just cut the wing shape out. You don't need the rest of that. I'm going to cut around the edges as close to the black outline as possible. If you get a little white left over, that's okay. You can always come in with a marker or anything like that and just touch it up if something shows. All the way around here. And again, just all I need are the wings, so the extra little teeny tiny parts are trimmed off. Because attaching them on the card base, you've got the head and the antenna on there already, so that'll take care of that. And now you've got the wings cut out. Okay, zoomed in a little bit so you can see this part better. You've got the wings, trimmed it out, and you've got the sections of the wings right here. You've got kind of this heart shape. You've got a major line here, and a major line here. We're going to take the scissors, and we're just going to trim it inwards towards the middle, but not all the way through, okay? I'm going to trim it around here and up. So when you turn it over, you can see that it's still connected, but you have those separate pieces, okay? All right, it's like that. And now I'm going to trim this butterfly out the same way, all around the edges as best as possible. Sorry, body of the butterfly goes bye-bye. All the way around. Okay, on the last side here. And this side's got all these little ups and downs. You can cut the ups and downs if you want. I'm just kind of smoothing it off, and I'm taking off that long part of the wing that just fell off there, that little long piece, because again, when it comes to place it on the card, it's going to blend in with the piece that's already stamped, okay? So now, same thing, I'm going to trim this one down on this section here, and this section over here. I'm going to leave the middle part of the wing intact. So there's one section here and one section here I'm going to trim. And not all the way down. I don't want it falling apart. I'm just trimming it just a little. So when you turn it over, again, it's connected. Okay? So I've got this butterfly piece here. It's going to fit in. It's going to go right over this. And then this one's going to go right over here. And this is where you're going to need your dimensional tape, your pop dots, whatever you like. Just something to make it stand a little bit so it creates a little bit of a shadow. And I'm going to put this piece, I'm only using one piece on each, they're so small, right there. And then I'm going to line it up on the butterfly. Whoops, sorry about that. I'm going to line them up so that the wings pretty much match. There we go. Push it down and attach it. Kind of come back to this one. And I'm going to put the tape on the big section in the middle there. And line up the wings. Okay, that's good. Now, what you do then is lift up the sections that you trimmed, just like so. And so it gives that little bit of depth and flight. Now, I'd probably take a black pen and clean up that line there. I won't take the time on it right now, but that's what I would do. Now, you've got your card base, and you're ready to mount it on here, and then you're all set. I'm just going to use some double stick tape and do that really fast for you. Works. Now I'm ready to mount the panel onto the card base. And I'm just using the little skinny double stick tape, double-sided tape, I guess you call it, right? I find the end always disappears. Here we go. What? There we go. And hopefully when we get back to in-person shows, you'll be able to come see us. And this will be on display in our booth so you can see it in person. There we are. Okay, I've got the right side up. And I'm not measuring it, I'm just eyeballing the placement on here. I can live with that. Then I'm going to turn it over on a clean sheet of paper and just press down on the inside here. So my fingers are inky, but it's not so much that it's staining the card. It's all good. And there you have it. Wishing you a day filled with warm sun and gentle breezes. Happy summer. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.